we're going to be talking about mechanization of agriculture down the agriculture value chain. Now, the East African Grain Council linked, or rather had a partnership with the Vehicle and Equipment Leasing Limited QuipBank for a mutually beneficial agreement for the provision of farm equipment and implements to farmers and other grain stakeholders in 2017. The MOU was intended to provide farming solutions to the farmers and for leasing vehicles, platforms and equipment, and at a cost-effective arrangement with the EAGC. That is GSOCO and eTinga platforms. So tonight we're going to be putting that into perspective, and I'm joined by a panel of experts here. At the far end is Ruth Norah, the manager at Tinga app, which is a product of QuipBank. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
And my immediate left, I'm joined by Sheila, who is a quality assurance officer at the Coffee Directorate. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Yes, it is full house. Business Insight tonight is being run by ladies. And, well, what can we say? Matters affirmative action. But now let's focus on matters agriculture. Norah, you can start us off by giving us the status, especially in our food basket areas. How mechanized are we or not in as far as the persons who are involved in the value chain as far as agriculture is concerned?
I can say that in terms of agriculture, Kenya, we know that agriculture is like the backbone of Kenya. And what we can say is that as much as we are concerned, we know the agriculture has been done with the small-scale farmers. And basically, as far as we can say right now, according to our mechanization company and what we do, we can say that really embracing of mechanization has not really been done, but we are taking a step by as Kenyans.
Why do you think there's been a reluctance of some sort, especially among small-scale farmers, to embrace technology and mechanization?
Okay, what I can say is that many smallholder farmers, they're not really sure. They don't have that information of what is happening in terms of what do you need for you to be mechanized. They also term mechanization as being expensive, and therefore that, I think, it lags them behind. Yeah.
Now, Tinga is an online platform supported by the East African largest leasing company. What has been the impact in as far as mechanizing and having integration of and of technology in the agriculture value chain for the last 2 years? This is going to be basically the third year that you have been in operation. What has been the impact so far?
The impact has been immense, I can say that, because for the last 2 years, now going to the third year, we've done lots of training to smallholder farmers, and we have testimonials from farmers that we've attended to, and we can say that indeed we've taken great strides because we have farmers, let's say, for example, the farmers we've mechanized in Laikipia County, in narrow counties, and we are seeing that they are doing so well in terms of this far that we've come, and you can see we've really taken great strides, especially in the training them on what is mechanization, what entails mechanization, what steps should you take, and all that, and we're moving great strides with them.
So, Madam Sheila, you come in after we've planted, we've harvested. The issue, the quality of the product that we get from our farms, that is your core business. As now, if we look at especially our Kenyan product, export product, often at times we've had complaints from our export markets that our products did not meet the quality standards that they require. How will mechanization, adoption of mechanization and technology help in aid, or rather how can we use mechanization and technology to ensure that our export products are in good global standards?
Thank you very much. I would say that at the moment, mechanization has been a challenge for the Kenyan coffee farmers in the coffee industry. And that's basically because most of the farmers are small-scale farmers, a bigger percentage of the coffee in the coffee industry. And therefore, for them, it would really be quite expensive for them. And also, another issue is that most of the farms where coffee is grown in Kenya are normally in high altitudes. And at such altitudes, you can't find, it's not easy to embrace the issue of mechanization. In the case of quality, I would say that quality would really be affected because when they do like harvesting, they get good quality, and because of the process, the hand picking that is done, because they do selective picking. So if you you do mechanization, you'll find that most of the berries that are normally harvested, they'll be affected, and that would really impact on the quality. And as we know, quality is it's key. It affects the price of the coffee. So that's why they do selective picking, and because that is really has a great impact on the quality of the coffee.
No, just elaborate, especially for farmers, for persons like I who do not come from coffee growing areas.
Yes.
We are more in the semi-arid areas of Kajiado and the likes. So when you say hand picking, are you saying hand picking coffee berries is far much more effective in terms of retaining the quality of the berry than using machines? Is that what you're saying?
Yes,
How
because
so?
when you do hand picking, and that is selective picking. You see, like in a country like Brazil, I'd give an example, they do, they use mechanization. And that's because when you do mechanization, there's a way that the machine goes into the coffee tree, and it sort of strips the berries, and that affects the quality. But when you are doing selective picking, as a farmer goes to the tree and they do selective picking, they pick one cherry at a time that is properly ripe. So that way, you find that the berries that are picked are just of one quality, and therefore that they can affect the ultimate quality of the coffee. But if you do the selective picking, you find that it's mixed with the unripes, the overripes, so that has a great impact on the quality of the final cut of that particular coffee. Yes.
Now, Norah.
Yes.
Okay. On that point, before when we come back, Norah, we'd want to know how do we strike a balance between mechanization and human resource. Here, from our quality assurance officer at the Coffee Directorate, that is Madam Sheila Agida. She says that especially when it comes to coffee berry picking, they'd prefer that a person does that so that they can pick they can select the best berries for this, unlike using machines to do that. But that is once we come back. Do remember that this is KBC Channel 1 and this is Business Insight. We do take a short break. We'll be right back. Good evening once again. If you're tuning in, this is Business Insight, and tonight we're looking at matters mechanizing agriculture. With me in studio are two ladies who are in the agriculture value chain. On my immediate left, we have Madam Sheila Agida, who is a quality assurance officer at the Coffee Directorate, and on my far end is Ruth, Norah, manager, Tinga app, a product of QuipBank. Yes. Now, before we took a short break, Madam Sheila here was explaining, in as far as coffee berry picking is concerned, it is preferred that it is hand-picked for quality assurance purposes. Now, on the other end, you're providing solutions in as far as technology and mechanization is concerned. Yeah. So the question is, how do we strike a balance between mechanization and human resource along the agriculture value chain?
Yes, thank you so much. I would want to deviate from the coffee and maybe move to potatoes, as I can say. Because for us, we've chosen mechanization because it provides solution to the farmer, especially the smallholder farmers. Because now when you combine the smallholder farmers, they are able to farm, instead of farming the 2 acres or 1 acre, they are able to combine as a group, and they're able to do mini acreage and therefore get good production. And therefore for us, when it comes to the potato harvesting, as per now, we've had the entire package where we are able to do the land preparation. We are able to plant using the machine, and we're able to harvest using the machine in such a way that we are able to avoid the post-harvest losses that occur. And this really saves the farmer a lot. We find that the farmer is able to move from, instead of using, like you see, if you use the old farming methods, the farmer will use, let's say, 4 days before you complete that work while doing the land preparation. But while using the machine, you can use 4 hours. And this therefore frees the farmer to go out there and do other economic things to do, such as maybe raising the chicken or any other work. And this really frees the farmer and is able now to even bring more economic growth to the country, and even now to even create job opportunities for apart from farming.
So basically what you're saying, in as far as you're talking about mechanization and technology along the agriculture value chain, we need, it varies by extent to the crop. yeah, to the crop.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Now, the issue of, you've said mechanization and technology is not cheap. It's not cheap. And you've talked about small scale farmers. So how do you come in? How does a QuipBank come in to empower farmers, integrate mechanization and technology into their farming activities?
Yes, thank you. For us as Tenga, we come in as providing solution to the farmer, and we basically say we deal with smallholder farmers in such a way that we're able to bring this smallholder farmer to come in, you as one farmer, I myself as one farmer, and we are able to bring many farmers, one community. If you are like one farmer who owns maybe an acre or 2 acres, is not able to afford to pay for that machinery or to do the service for him or her. But we see this farmer, when you're able to combine your effort with another farmer who owns, let's say, another 2 acres, and maybe you come as many farmers in one locality, and we are able to provide that solution maybe to an acreage of 10 or 20 as one farmer. But in the real sense, it's smallholder farmers
coming together.
Owning,
But how do I get on board? I'm thinking maybe I have my one acre.
Yeah.
Of Mira somewhere.
Yes.
I don't know if we're going to do machines in the Mira farm, but I've just given that as a case in point.
Yeah.
So how do I get onto this platform? How do I benefit?
For us as Tinga, we have many platforms that you can get us through. And basically, like now, we have the Tinga app. This is an app where you can get it from Play Store. You just go to your Play Store and you download the app. It goes by the name Tinga. And there you're able to book the services. Whatever service that you want, you are able to book it, and we are able to reach you via our head office. We have a call center where you can be able to reach you and give you feedback, and we're able to attend to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not to just focus on matters mechanization.
Okay.
The issue of quality comes into play, especially as far as coffee is concerned. Coffee is one of the export products that we have. Kenyan coffee is renowned out there. We sell it take it as grow berries. It comes back as a value-added product ready for the market. Why haven't we embraced value addition in coffee production? What is holding us back?
First of all, I would like to clarify that coffee is our production, mostly 95% is for export, and you find that we consume only 5% of our coffee. And that's really sad, and that's something that the government is really working on to increase at least the consumption, so that we can also have, if we consume our own coffee, you'd find that that will trickle back to the farmer, and they'll also benefit, and they'll have good value for their money. And secondly, we as a country, we export coffee in green form. The cherries are only taken to the factory, they are processed. Then now when we export it in green form, in raw form. And one thing we'd also like to clarify is that when it goes out there, it's consumed out there. It never comes back. Yes. So the coffee that already has gone, it's clear that it never comes back, because it's used for other countries to blend with the coffees from other different regions.
Yes, they blend it. They blend our coffee and resell it back as a product. So we can claim that our coffee goes out, is blended, and comes back. There's that argument, isn't it?
And, it's not actually quite right, because you find that in our biggest consumer is Norway. Yeah, so they consume most of our coffee. So you find that whenever it goes out, they normally blend with coffees from other, because as you said, Kenyan coffee is renowned for its characteristics. It has very pronounced flavors, the acidity, we have floral notes, we have chocolate notes in our coffees. So you find that it's a product that it's really sought after, and that's why you find that most countries, they buy Kenyan coffee at very high prices. However high it shoots, it's on demand in other countries. Yes. So when we do that, you find that most of the coffees that we consume, it's normally Kenyans consume mostly instant coffee. sadly. And that instant coffee, we don't produce Robusta. It's processed from Robusta coffee. Yeah, it's not a product that we produce. So most of the coffee the Robusta that we consume instant, it's normally imported from other countries.
So
And
ours, what's our brand? Arabica?
Yes,
Ours is Arabica.
yes, we produce Arabica coffee, but right now the government is really trying to introduce Robusta coffee, because one major thing that is really affecting Arabica coffee is the issue of it's so susceptible to diseases, and Robusta coffee has the greater resistance to diseases. So you find that it can be grown in very many parts of the country, but compared to Arabica, which is normally affected by coffee berry disease, coffee leaf rust.
Won't that affect the quality of Kenyan coffee?
No, it won't affect, because most of the Arabica, it's to control that, farmers have been spraying, they've been using sprays, so you control, then it doesn't normally affect the quality of the coffee. Like we have in Arabica, we have different varieties. We have SL28, K7, we have SL34. Those are really high quality varieties of coffee that are grown in Kenya. Recently, there was another variety introduced by Coffee Research. It's called Riru 11, and it's Batian. Those two varieties were developed from the other old varieties, and these ones are resistant to coffee berry disease and coffee leaf rust, but they also have very high quality, and their production is equally very high. Yes.
But now the issue, you've said we only consume 5%.
Yes.
As Kenyans.
Yes.
But now the issue of value addition, value add.
Yes.
What is holding us back? Is it just the consumption, or there are other underlying issues that are holding back, the industry from, or rather having value addition on the value chain? No,
it's not actually the issue of, I would say, value addition along the coffee value chain. It undergoes a series of processes. So from the farm level to the processing level, and also subsequently to the roasting part and to the packaging part. So there are only few companies that do that. And then also it's quite, I'd say it's quite expensive to do that. So because most of our farmers, as I said, they're small scale farmers. So most of them cannot really afford all that process. And that's why you find that the value addition becomes a challenge for this country in the coffee industry. And as we've seen, if you compare the statistics in 2017 and now, coffee in 2017 we had a production of 38,000 metric tons. Right now we have a production of 43,000 metric tons. So production is really going up, but at the same time the farmer cannot be able to afford to do value addition for themselves, because it's quite a bit expensive for them. Yes. So how does mechanization and technology come in, given that Sheila has already said that we prefer to pick the coffee berries hand-picked because of quality assurance? How then can we use technology, for instance, actually to broaden our scope in as far as our markets are concerned, especially using technology?
Yeah, for us, what we believe in technology, and that's why we mechanize. And we know that it provides solutions and quick solutions that are sure. And for us, mechanization, we find it that it's easier, and it tends to provide a bigger solution in terms of even quality assurance for us. That's our main point, because when we find the farmer coming in day in, day out, getting in contact with the crop or the seed, we tend to find a lot of contamination being involved in there, unlike the machine, because the machine is normally disinfected. So you tend to, after it goes, like if it moves from one farm to the other, it gets to be washed, to be cleaned and all that. Therefore, you are not able to transfer the germs and transfer the diseases from one crop to the other farm. So for us, we find that it really helps.
In terms of managing quality. Now, the issue of access to markets. Yes, you have good yield, good products of good quality. Access to markets remains the main hurdle, especially for all farmers, either large scale or even small scale. So how should we address this? Maybe we start from your end. Especially now looking at the export. I know your forte is the export market. Yes. What should we do to ensure that our products, our local products, get out there? Value for money for the farmer back here at home, and also penetration in the global markets.
Actually, that's a very good point, because it's actually in line with what the government is doing. And Kenya, we are lucky that this year we'll be hosting it's an International Coffee Organization Conference. It will be in March and at the Kenyatta International Conference Center. And that's an organization that brings together coffee producing and coffee exporting countries. So that's one of the platforms that the government is using to market Kenyan coffee out there. Aside from that, there's also a global conference that's normally held in USA. It's called the Specialty Coffee Association. That's what the government normally does. They go out there, they market Kenyan coffee, and also they bring on board stakeholders who do marketing. And there also other coffee, in the coffee industry, for example, we have so many coffee events that are normally stakeholders go out there, they market Kenyan coffee, they bring together buyers, we have origin trips, and that's why we are also hosting, we are also having this we are also having our activity so that we are inviting also other people from other countries. We are also inviting all Kenyans to come together so that at least we bring together stakeholders who can really access Kenyan coffee. They get, they network, they get opportunities to network, and that's we're also doing this at the Hub tomorrow and on Friday, on Saturday. We are inviting Kenyans to come. We are also interacting with stakeholders. We are just trying to create market for Kenyan coffee and encourage consumption as well.
Now, we've talked about that mechanization and technology is where we're going in as far as agriculture is concerned. But what about the capacity, capacity and skill of that farmer back at home to actually use this equipment? How I mean, are you improving their capacity? How are you training them? Are they benefiting through this program? Or I mean, you can give me a tractor, but if I cannot drive a tractor, I mean, it will not help me. So, Norah.
Thank you so much. What we do, as I said earlier, we normally go and train the individual farmers, and we get to train them on mechanization in terms of what mechanization is all about, what entails mechanization. If you want to be mechanized, what's the process? And what does it and the entire package entail? So for us, we get to train the farmers, and basically for us as a company, Tinga, we tend to come as a package where we have our own operators, because handling your machine, it can become a bit hectic. So we get we have qualified operators who are able to go there and talk to the farmer and get to understand what the farmer needs to be attended to. And then they're able to do it as the farmer coordinates.
So you build capacity.
Yeah, we build capacity to the farmers.
Now, as we come to a close, the government has in its Big Four agenda, food security is one of the main pillars. Your stakeholders along the agriculture value chain. So as you come to a close, what impact do you think adoption of mechanization and technology is going to have in regard to attaining food security? And given that since we're talking about a large scale, a large number of farmers in the country are small scale farmers, and we're still relying on matters rain-fed agriculture. So what is the role of mechanization and technology in as far as food security is concerned? We'll start off with you, Sheila.
Actually, what we are doing as a government is we are encouraging more. In the past, there's not been that connection along the value chain, the coffee value chain. We've had so much disconnection. But at the moment, we're trying to bring together all stakeholders in the coffee value chain, like creating, we are linking like baristas, we are linking them to farmers. And by doing that, you find that the farmer in the long run will be able to get good value for their money. They'll be able to, their coffee will be able to sell very well. And in the long run, we are addressing the issue of food security. And also by doing the baristas, bringing up the baristas, the young generation, we are creating employment for the youth in this particular career profession that is called baristering. So along that line, you find that baristas come up, they do so many things, and then they create jobs for themselves. They are employed in coffee shops, and by doing that, we're creating employment for the youth that is a bigger generation in the coffee industry. And then also the farmers, they also come up with, we have as a directorate, we also have a grower-marketer license. We are trying to encourage farmers to get that. If you can get that, you can be able to roast your package locally and do it just like it's done in Ethiopia. And by doing that, you find that most of the farmers will be able to get good money and at least address the issue of food security.
You've mentioned something very important, and I'd want you to elaborate.
Yes.
Job creation.
Yes.
And you've talked about baristering. Yes. Maybe you can enlighten us what baristering is all about?
Okay, when I talk about a barista, is a person who works, a profession, they work in coffee shops, and they are trained professionally. You can't be a barista if you're not trained. When you go to a coffee shop, for instance, you go to Java or you go to Art Cafe, you look at the menu and you ask for a cappuccino or an espresso. You don't know what that means. You just see the machine, you probably hear the sound that goes like shh, but you don't know what that it's all about.
And the design at the top.
Exactly, that's latte art. So that's why we are really encouraging people, young guys especially. They do that, it's a profession. You have to study. You really have to get the skills to do that. You can't do that if you don't know how to do it. So that's what we are talking about. We are creating employment for the youth, and that's why we are carrying out this event at the hub, because it's a global competition where if you're a trained barista and you're an expert, you can be able to express yourself. You have the technical skills, because you can't operate that machine if you don't have the technical skills. You have to be creative. You have to come up with drinks in the restaurants that can really sell and that are really appealing to the public. And that's why we're hosting this event for youngsters. We really want to bring more youth on board and really train them and bring them to the awareness that baristering is something they can venture in and really have that idea and create employment for themselves. They get jobs in coffee shops, they can open up their own restaurants. We do it in universities, and we're really trying to create the young generation and bring them on board.
It's an entrepreneurial opportunity.
Exactly.
Yes. Now, Norah, as we come to a close, what is the overall, going forward, mechanization and technology as we come to a close in regard to matters food security?
I would say in terms of food security, I would say the government is really trying. And for us, what you say for food security, when it comes to mechanization and food security, there is an approach that is used, because when you use the mechanization, you tend to, like the way we advise the farmers, the small-scale farmers, instead of now as farming on small scale, where it's only food for your household, and or you do it for leisure or just for as a hobby, we tend to ask the farmers to come together and come up as a community where you're able to raise like large-scale crop, where you're able to supply to the country, you're able to supply even to export. And in that way that you are able even to not only depend on the rain-fed crops, we also advise them to depend on the resistant crops, drought-resistant crops. We also advise them to maybe even venture on irrigation, not only on rain-fed crops, in such a way that they are able to raise food all around the year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very well said. That has been one of our guests. That is Norah, Ruth Norah. He's the manager at Tinga App, saying that for us to realize food security, mechanization is an integral part of that, and has called on small-scale farmers especially to consolidate their human resource and also farming land, and also embrace mechanization and technology to move away from over-reliance on rain-fed agriculture given the erratic weather conditions. On her part, my other guest, who is Sheila Segina, who is a quality assurance officer at the Coffee Directorate, has said that indeed coffee is one of the farming, or rather export, Kenya's main export as it is, and there is a lot of opportunities, especially for the youth, and as far as baristering is concerned. Well, and we've been advised, you and I, to consume more coffee, given that you only consume 5% of that.